What's up guys, we're Ian and Anna and we spent 7 days exploring the island of Kauai. In this video we're going to share the top 10 things to do on the island, so let's waste no time and start with number 1. Going on a helicopter tour. There's a reason Kauai has been voted the #1 place in the world to go on a helicopter ride. Not only do you get to fly right through the Waimea Canyon, which is the Grand Canyon of the Pacific, but you also get unreal views of the iconic Napali Coast. Not to mention, this is the most undeveloped Hawaiian island with only 3% of the land developed, so you get access to some of the most remote parts of the island. If you want to go with the very best tour company, and the one we went with, you could scan this QR code on the screen right here. This company will take you on the most insane 1-hour tour around all the hot spots, including the famous waterfall that was in the Jurassic Park movie. And for those of you that don't know, Jurassic Park was mostly filmed right here on this island, which makes so much sense because when we were up in that helicopter, it seriously felt like we were in that movie. Just a heads up, the weather can change any minute on Kauai, which is actually sometimes a good thing because after you run into some rain, it quickly passes and rainbows start popping out all around you. We even ended up flying right through a double rainbow, which is something I will never forget. I can confidently say this is in my top 5 experiences I have done in my entire life, and I couldn't recommend it anymore. Now let's move on to number 2, going on a boat tour along the Napali Coast. Now, I know helicopter rides can be scary for a lot of you, so the next best way to experience this island is with a boat tour. And if you want to go with the very best tour company that is 100% locally owned and operated, you need to book with Blue Ocean Adventures. They use these Zodiac boats that are used by the US Navy, and they absolutely fly through the water. It was actually quite the adrenaline rush cruising through these narrow caves and whizzing next to the coastline. It was actually so wild. On this 5-hour boat tour, Captain Corey and the crew will take you along the Napali Coast, stopping at so many different places, including the famous Hanalei Bay Beach, which is where Pirates of the Caribbean and Indiana Jones were filmed. This beach is also the burial site of ancient chiefs that used to rule along these coasts. A little history lesson for those of you that didn't know, more than 1600 years ago, Polynesians used the stars to sail 2,000 miles across the Pacific Ocean to find Hawaii. The process they use is called wayfinding, and you might know it from one of my favorite Disney movies, Moana. If you're lucky during your tour, you'll have the possibility of seeing so much sea life, including dolphins and turtles, and although we didn't see the dolphins, we were able to snorkel with turtles, and it was magical. One thing I loved on this tour was when they docked the boat right in front of the Napali Coast, which was just this crazy cool backdrop, and let us jump off the boat. Now, Anna and I have been to 50 countries so far and explored some of the most stunning islands around the world. And to this day, Kauai is hands down one of the top 3 islands that we've ever been to. I feel like I had to put that out there real quick because this island deserves all the hype it gets and more. But please don't be an asshole if you're visiting, make sure to pick up your trash, treat the locals with respect, and just remember you are visiting sacred land. Now, up next we're moving on to number 3. Hiking Kalepa Ridge. This is going to be a little controversial, but I still want to share one of the most stunning hikes I have ever been on. This hike is illegal now, but when I did it 4 years ago, they didn't really enforce it or give tickets out. Nowadays, I've heard it's a 50-50 chance of getting a $500 ticket, so definitely proceed with caution. Not only would you be breaking the law, but I can tell you right now that this hike is super sketchy, and I don't think anyone should risk going if it rained recently because people have fallen to their death here. When we went, we parked at the Kalalau Lookout, and here you'll see the gate that blocks off the Kalepa Ridge Trail. You can easily get over or through this gate, but like I said, I don't recommend it. Now, after hiking 30 minutes to the edge at sunset, the views of the Napali Coast were absolutely breathtaking here. It's one of those moments that is ingrained in my brain forever, and I truly wish I could experience it again for the first time. There is another hike we will talk about later that is down the road from here and is totally legal. It also has similar epic views and will get your blood pumping, so make sure to stick around. Now let's move on to number 4, Queen's Bath. Located in the northern part of the island in Princeville, Queen's Bath is a natural swimming hole that connects to the Pacific Ocean. The reason the rocks are jet black here is because these pools were formed by ancient lava flows millions of years ago. I'll have the directions to the Queen's Bath linked down in the description below for you guys, which will take you to this neighborhood where the trail starts. There isn't much parking here, so you either get lucky with timing or have to wait it out until someone gives up their spot. The walk to Queen's Bath is only around 15 minutes and it's absolutely stunning. And once you reach the natural pools, you'll see tons of locals jumping off and doing crazy flips. If you haven't noticed already, a lot of the best experiences on this island are dangerous, and Queen's Bath is no different. Sadly, 29 people have lost their lives here after drowning in the heavy waves and rip currents, so please do not jump into the big pool like we did. Anna was a swimmer for more than 12 years, and she struggled to get back up in this spot because the waves and currents would get stronger out of nowhere. Instead of jumping in, there are these tiny pools everywhere to chill in, which kind of felt like your own private infinity pool. We also got super lucky here and saw these massive manta rays just gliding around Queen's Bath, which was super magical. Now let's move on to our favorite beach for number 5, Hanalei Bay. There are so many amazing beaches dotting Kauai's coastline, but our very favorite was Hanalei Bay, which is only 10 minutes down the road from Queen's Bath. Having those mountains as a backdrop as we jumped off the pier at sunset was absolutely unforgettable. And for you movie lovers, this is another iconic filming location for movies like Soul Surfer and The Descendants with George Clooney. It's a massive beach, and because it's all the way up north, it's rarely filled with tourists. Most tourists on Kauai stay on the south shore or the east coast, but we ended up running a place in Princeville up north and really loved our entire experience. But just a reminder, it does rain up here a little bit more, so if you're looking for the sun, the best place to stay is near Poipu Beach in the south. Just a heads up, driving to a lot of places on Kauai can take 1 to 2 hours because there's only one main road that goes along the coast. For example, for us to get from our Airbnb in Princeville to some of our favorite hikes on the Napali Coast, it was a 2-hour long drive, which is kind of wild. No matter what, I really think everyone visiting Kauai needs to get a rental car, even though it's expensive, because it was so fun being able to drive anywhere, whenever we wanted. Now up next, we're moving on to number 6, the Awa'awapuhi Hike. Like I said before, if you don't want to get in trouble hiking Kalepa Ridge, you should definitely do the Awa'awapuhi Hike down the street. This is a 6-mile out and back trail that's actually pretty tough because at the beginning it's all downhill and can hurt your knees, and then on the way back up it's all uphill, so be ready for quite the workout. I would highly recommend you bring hiking boots for this trail because there's tons of loose gravel and rocks, especially as you get closer to the Napali Coast. I'm not gonna lie, Anna is not afraid of heights at all, so she was just fearlessly walking and sitting on the edge, but for me, it got my blood pumping with adrenaline. You'll know when you made it to the end of the hike when you start hearing helicopters, because this is one of the canyons they fly in during the tours. Anna was actually waving at the helicopters as they zoom by. It was pretty wild. The dramatic views you get up here are 100% worth the hike because you are surrounded by the rigid mountains of the Napali Coast and have unbeatable views of the Pacific Ocean. Now let's move on to number 7, the Waimea Canyon. Dubbed as the Grand Canyon of the Pacific by Mark Twain in the 1800s, Waimea Canyon makes you feel like you're on another planet. This canyon was formed more than 4 million years ago by a huge volcanic collapse, and it stretches a whopping 14 miles long and plunges 3,600 feet deep. To get to some of the best hikes on the Napali Coast, you'll be driving right along the Waimea Canyon, so make sure to get out of your car at all the different viewpoints along the way. There's also tons of hikes within Waimea Canyon where you can see waterfalls and walk along landscapes that make you feel like you're on Mars, so if you have the time, I bet it would be totally worth it. I still find it mind-blowing that on an island so green and lush, this massive orange canyon comes out of nowhere. Up next, we're moving on to number 8, the Wailua Waterfall. There's 2 ways to see Wailua Falls. First, there's a viewpoint at the parking lot above to take in the views, or the second option is hiking down 15 minutes to the base. If you have the time, I highly recommend the hike because once you're down there, you can really appreciate the power of this double-barreled waterfall. We were here in early August, and it was still really strong, but if you want to see it at its most powerful, come during Kauai's rainy season, which is January to March. Fun fact, in ancient Hawaiian tradition, brave warriors would prove their courage by jumping from this 100-foot waterfall. It actually started raining when we were down here, but the rain only lasted about 15 minutes. But like I said earlier, huge tip on Kauai is to pack a rain jacket everywhere you go because you just never know when the weather's gonna change. Now let's move on to number 9, Poipu Beach. Like I said earlier in the video, the south side of Kauai is the sunniest, and one of the most stunning beaches to visit down here is Poipu Beach. Not only is it surrounded by massive palm trees, but the water here is crystal clear. This place is pretty well known, so be ready for some crowds, but it's all worth it because the snorkeling here is unbelievable. We saw tons of colorful fish, turtles, and even some barracuda. You could pretty much see monk seals and turtles here every single day, but please be respectful of the sea life and give them space. Last but not least, we're moving on to number 10, eating at Porkys BBQ. This is going to be super quick, but I had to mention that Porkys BBQ was one of our favorite meals on Kauai. And this is the perfect place to stop after all those crazy, exhausting hikes you'll go on. This place is famous for their pulled pork, which we got served on a grilled cheese sandwich with pineapple, and wow, was it delicious. No matter what, I hope we helped you plan your dream vacation to Kauai, and please comment down below what Hawaiian island we should visit next because I am dying to go back.